Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. Tonight, we're talking specifically about charging stored credit cards. So for those of you that are using Clio payments, you do have the feature and the ability to be able to store a client's or potential client's credit card information. And we have some videos on that about how to request the number from them. They put it in, it's stored electronically, very securely, so that even people in your office can't access it in order to steal that information, but they can access it in order to pay an invoice or a trust request, right? But how do you charge that stored credit card if you don't have an invoice or a trust request? And that's what we're talking about tonight. And usually this isn't a big deal, right? Usually we do have an invoice or a trust request that we've sent out to the client that we want them to pay that we want to pay with that stored credit card. Hopefully you have some type of engagement agreement or other agreement with them in writing saying that you're authorized to store that credit card and you're authorized to charge that credit card. But assuming you have all that, there might also be times when you want to charge that credit card that you do not have an invoice or a trust request. And that's the scenario we're talking about tonight. I see it happen most often when we're talking about like collecting initial deposits from brand new clients where, they haven't yet paid that initial retainer. And we want to get that money first before we turn them into a client and manage. So we don't have an invoice yet, or we don't have a trust request. And so this is one way that we can do that. Because of course you have to have a matter first before you can make an invoice or a trust request. So the alternatives are I can send them just the general payment link, which goes into my operating or my trust account. And then when I see that payment come in, then I can make the matter. Or the alternative here is what we're going to show you tonight, which is how you can charge a credit card that's been stored in Clio payments without creating some type of matter or trust request or invoice. And so let's hop over to the Clio screen and I'll show you exactly how we do this. So here we've got our Clio contact, and this is all done at the contact level. So I've got this contact in Clio Manage. Maybe they were pushed over from Clio Grow. Again, not the matter, but the contact. Or maybe they were just a new contact in Manage that we're working with. And down here, you'll see where I can go ahead and request that payment method. And once they fill in their payment information, I'll get an email notification. And then it'll show down here that I've got that payment method in here. And so we can see that they have complied with our request. They've put in their credit card information. But you'll also see there's no way to just like charge it, right? Like that's not an option here. And there isn't a way to charge it unless you have an invoice or trust request, which is what you need the matter to be able to create, right? Until today. Now we've got this workaround that can work very well for you. And that involves going over to our online payments tab. So you'll find that over here on the left where we click on online payments and it brings us over to this screen. Obviously, if you've been using a lot of Clio payments, you'll have a list of payments that are here. But what we want to do in order, again, to make this one-time payment and make this one-time charge, I should say, is we're going to come up here and say new payment plan. Now, don't let the word payment plan confuse you, right? Because we're actually going to adjust this somewhat. We're going to come down here when we're creating this payment plan. Instead of saying we want a payment plan that goes monthly and charges monthly, we're going to go ahead and say we want to charge it once, right? And when we do that, I'll show you that. Let me adjust my screen here a tad so that we can get the information that we need. When we put in the contact, right, and now it's the contact that we want to bill, we're going to deposit it to whichever, deposit to whichever account. I'm going to go ahead and put in the amount. Let's say it's for an initial retainer payment. So I'm going to put in like $5,000. I'm going to say I want to do it once. Now, keep in mind that the earliest date that you can do this on will be the following day, right? Because they do process overnight. And so you won't be able to process it immediately. It will only be able to process the next day. But what you'll see is now that we have a contact in here and we scroll down, you can see that we've got that information from the credit card, and that credit card is going to go ahead and be charged in order to go ahead and make that payment. And so again, the nice part is I didn't need an invoice. I didn't need a trust request because again, maybe I'm in the scenario where I don't have a matter yet, right? And so when that happens, I want to make sure that I have that capability, even though I don't have a matter, an invoice, or a trust request. So if you go through that process, set up that once occurring payment plan, it will process the credit card the very next day, and then you'll be able to make that charge without having a matter, an invoice, or a trust request. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or give us a call. We'd love to chat. Thanks so much. Have a great evening.